We did have somebody text us earlier this morning, just talking about current events and frustration, you know? And it reminded me, I looked at an article recently I want to chat with you guys about from Relevant Magazine, that at the end of the day, like, they agree that Christians in America are angry. I think they are, don't you? Not all of them, but I think a lot of Christians are angry.
Yeah.
In fact, is it too extreme? Because I tend to be melodramatic. I know it's shocking. Me.
Really?
It's an understatement of the century.
It may be one of the defining adjectives
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
for Christians in 2024.
I think that's accurate.
Yeah, we're very quick to anger, and something you'll hear often is we're defined more by what we're against rather than what we're for.
Yes.
Well, and interestingly enough, this article from Relevant Magazine, I think that they indicate Christians should be mad. But the question is not whether they should or should not be mad. The question is, what should they be mad about? Okay. Now, before we get there, they bring up two separate passages people will talk about when they debate anger. And it's in James. And I almost lost it. Here it is. So James 1, a lot of people will quote chapter 20. Well, Brian, human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. They use that as a proof text to not be angry about things. But we forget the passage right before it, verse 19. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. But it doesn't say don't get angry. As the writer in this piece said, no one says be slow to commit adultery. Well, so
That's why it's a problem.
clearly anger is allowed. And then this guy said that he did a ton of research for decades on anger in the scriptures. You know that the scriptures record Jesus being angry 15 times in the gospel narratives?
Never thought about it. People usually bring up he flipped tables and made a whip.
Yeah, the one that got me is when I was in the spiritual formation program, the man with the withered hand, where he healed him in the synagogue on the Sabbath.
Yep.
It explicitly says in Mark that Jesus got angry at the people in the room when they questioned whether he should heal the guy.
Right. They're all watching and waiting. Oh, is he going to do it? We're going to trap him this time. And he was angry about that.
Really angry at them.
Did he get mad at the fig tree?
Yeah, I would have been like, whoa, sorry, fig tree. He cursed it and it withered and died. What you were waving your arms around looking at commentaries. What's
Yeah, it's
happening
just really
over there,
good.
Lauren?
In the Moody Bible commentary about this James 1, 19 and 20, it says the maxim lists the three essential character qualities in trials and summarizes the body of the epistle. Quick to hear counteracts sluggishness to obey God. Slow to speak corrects the sin of the tongue. And slow to anger evades outbursts in trials. Human anger, customarily sinful, see Matthew 5:22, does not achieve God's righteousness, either in oneself or in others. So human anger customarily doesn't achieve God's righteousness.
I like that phraseology because it's not saying that God doesn't have anger.
Yeah.
But human anger in and of itself is not like coinciding with godly anger. But when it does, it's okay.
Yes.
Well, anger is, it's a real emotion that God gave us. So feeling anger is not the problem. The problem is we often sin in our anger.
That's
like
right.
it leads us to sin, like yelling at people and responding in an unloving way.
But what I found to be exceptionally interesting about this piece is that, again, a lot of Christians are angry today. And a lot of them are relieved to hear me say, oh, exactly, we should be angry. Jesus got angry 15 times. I'm supposed to conform my life to Christ. Brian should be getting angry, 15 times a day?
No.
Wait, no, that was over a 3-year period. So, but I should be getting angry. Get angry. But again, the question is what to get angry about. Another observation the guy made, which you have to process for a minute. Every time Jesus was angry, he was the only person who seemed to be bothered.
Wow.
So people talk about when Jesus flipped tables, right? Well, it wasn't like he was in an angry mob with pitchforks and torches leading them in. He was the only one. They were all in there doing their things, selling their stuff, doing their regular religious stuff. And he got in there and made a whip and started freaking out. When
I wouldn't say freaking out.
Well, this is the Brian translation, okay? Think of it like the message, okay? But then, even when he got mad about the withered hand, it wasn't like everyone else was like, yeah, what are you guys doing? How do you feel about this observation? Every time Jesus was angry, he was the only person who seemed to be bothered.
I mean, it makes sense. A lot of the people he was going up against were the religious men of the day, thinking that they were in the right, thinking that they were the ones calling out all this bad stuff and doing the right thing and being holy when they really weren't. They were doing it for selfish purposes. So those are the kind of the crowds he was in. And so it makes sense that he'd be the only one because everyone's thinking that they're doing right.
Yeah. But, okay, so we should be angry. Jesus got angry 15 times. But when he got angry, he was the only one. Now I start to get nervous because right now what we have is an angry Christian mob.
Right.
Mm.
We have American Christians collectively getting each other riled up.
Mm-hmm.
You see a meme, you're like, oh, this will be a good one to get all my Christian friends riled up about America.
Mm-hmm. And that is, I would argue that is the point. That's why you're doing that, is to get all your friends riled up.
Yes.
And doing that is not in the right heart or mind of righteous anger. That's
So-
to get people riled up.
Right. But we feel like, you read a passage of scripture and you go, hey, look, righteous anger is a thing. Jesus got angry. All right, everybody, let's get mad.
Mm-hmm.
And let's get out and storm the gates and let's make sure America is more like Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Grab your pitchfork. I mean, no one's saying that, but we're an angry mob in many respects. So
I guess what does the word righteous mean and look like then?
that's where one of the debates comes in is, yeah, right, righteous anger, what is it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this guy breaks it down, and it may not be what you think it is. We're going to get into what actually was Jesus angry about, and how does that reflect in our lives? As in, yes, we should be angry. It's allowed.
Mm-hmm.
But when should we be angry, and what should make us angry? We had somebody text us with some frustration about just the state of affairs in the world. Totally get it. There was actually an article from Relevant Magazine I wanted to talk about Christian anger, in that American Christians are angry, and we should be angry. The question is not whether or not we should be angry, because anger is a thing that isn't necessarily sinful. It can be.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, what should we be angry about? And the writer of this article has an unconventional answer to that. Before we get to it, though, Jamie Buxton, City Mission, what makes you angry? You're laughing because I would be. You want me to go first? Would that be
Sure.
easier? People intentionally doing a four-way stop incorrectly.
Intentionally?
Like, you're there first, I arrive, you wave me through, Brian's mad.
Mm.
Oh, interesting. That really gets you going, huh?
Yeah, like you are
Oh, yeah.
It's not
contributing
the
to the
rules of the
breakdown
road.
of society. Like, it's who gets there first at a four-way stop
Breakdown
is
of
going to
society.
go.
We've talked about this.
Ad nauseum.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
Oh,
polite
wow.
to wave someone through when it's your turn and there's lots of people waiting. It screws up the whole system.
Okay.
It used to make me angry. Well, what else makes me angry?
Slow drivers.
I'm working on that one intently. Like, I'm working with the Lord on that one. And I'm telling myself that people have reasons for this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I actually will self-talk. Brian, this person
That's
is
good.
going, under the speed limit because they might have just gotten in an accident and they're very nervous.
Or they just got a speeding ticket
Yeah.
and they're nervous.
And then I'm able to kind of like,
I'm trying to be a good boy.
so I'm getting better. I need to do this at a four-way stop, but I can't seem to come up with a logical explanation why someone would do this.
They're being nice,
It's not nice,
but it is.
They think that they're being nice.
but they aren't.
But they think that they are, and that's what they're thinking.
It's illogical to be nice in a car,
we
sitting
don't need to get
before
riled
some-
up about it right now.
I know you are really getting feisty.
Mhm.
What makes Jamie Buxton mad?
I feel like we're going to get hate mail for this, but landscaping vehicles that's park on the side of the street and everyone has to go around them.
And they haven't even tried to park closer to
No.
this. They don't care.
No. Like,
They're-
I get it if you're like a fireman
funny.
or like
Mhm.
even a city worker, I'll deal with. But just like, we're just here to mow their grass, so we're going to take up half the street.
Three
It's a
quarters.
real problem.
3/4 of the street.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah. That's a problem for
I've
me.
never thought about that my whole life. That's
Are
funny.
you kidding me?
No.
Oh, it's all over Northeast Ohio.
All
Yeah.
over. And sometimes they even put out cones like they're doing, and I'm like, you're just mowing the grass. Park in the driveway.
I think what they're doing, if I'm going to advocate for them, it'd be really hard to back up with your big trailer into a busy street.
I understand.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
But you asked.
Yeah, no, but I get it because where I grew up in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, it's a newer community. We don't have 2-lane roads. Like everything's wider and bigger. This is not a problem. Northeast Ohio with the 2-lane thing, each direction. We're always stopping for something.
Yeah.
Like they created on 422 a like 20-foot section permanently blocking one lane so they could work on power lines for a day. And they put up a stoplight. And so now we're all taking extra time to get home. And I don't even understand what's happening here. But anyway,
There you go.
I'm getting okay. What makes Lauren mad?
Oh, lots of stuff.
Don't say you, Brian. Don't say that.
I did.
You're thinking it, though.
Her eyes are saying that.
Lots of stuff.
What makes you mad?
Oh, I can't think of something right off the top of my head.
It's a
I need a
game
little
where
bit
you
more
have something
time.
has to spit out.
What?
The first thing that comes to your mind when,
I don't. People are pretty bad at merging on highways. That really makes me upset.
yeah, especially if they stop.
Or they don't speed up. Like they want to get
Yeah.
ahead of you, but they don't speed up. But it's like, okay, please.
Yeah, I
I
will talk
can't-
to people when this is happening. I'll
Yeah.
be like, all right, Jenny, we're going to have to go faster than 30 to get on the interstate.
Exactly.
Let's go.
That's
Come
right.
on.
Yeah.
Come on. We're going to have to use the accelerator. So that makes you upset.
Yeah.
Ron?
Along the lines with Jamie of people parking, when you have people parking like in front of their house, and then the guy across the street has friends who are going to park in front of his house. So you basically doing a slalom down your road
Yes.
in between cars parked on either side because nobody could get the initiative to think, you know what? Why don't I park on that side too? So everybody can
Slalom.
just pull over, go around the whole crowd, and then get back in their lane.
Yeah. That kind of gets your goat, they say, isn't that?
Yeah.
I don't know
You're
why
playing
goats.
chicken on your own street. I get it.
Uh-huh.
Daria,
Yeah, driving apparently makes people mad because
it doesn't
It's a
make you
big
mad.
deal.
no, it does make me mad.
Oh.
Like when I'm either merging or like changing lanes, I am going the proper speed. There is someone like in the next lane, but like well behind me. So like I have room. I turn my turn signal on. They speed up to get past me when they could have just continued their speed and let me get over.
Yeah, they don't like the idea of letting you in.
No, and it wasn't even like letting me
Yeah.
in. It's like they like had to floor it to get ahead of me.
Yeah, in Chicago,
Driving is.
I learned in Chicago that a turn signal, you really, if you turn it on, it's going to challenge the other driver.
Yeah.
To,
You can't turn it on until the last second.
Yeah, because they're like, wait a minute, I left room? This is a problem. So I developed a technique because we had a 12-passenger van. It was very hard to merge into Chicago highways with that.
I'm sure.
I would literally roll down the window, stick my head out the window, and look in the eyes of the driver that was needed to let me in every time they let me in.
All right.
Yes. Gotta.
If it was stop traffic and I wouldn't stick my head out the window, they wouldn't let me in. They'd be like, sorry, buddy, you're going to be on the shoulder the rest of your life.
Yes.
But if I
That's
looked
exactly
them in the
right.
eye and I'd like be like, what?
Yeah.
They'd
Or you
let
just
me
have to get real aggressive, and you just force your car in there, and they'll stop.
So I'm sorry to tell all of us. Wait, no, Ron. What? No, you did tell us what's angry.
Yeah.
What makes you
What's
angry?
angry.
Okay. Now, we're all wrong.
Yeah.
None of this should make us angry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Or at least we know we're sinning in our anger
Right.
in these instances.
Because again, there's no question that Christians in America are angry about various things. People want us to get more angry about various things. We are too angry about driving,
Yeah.
clearly. Somebody's going, why are you so angry about that? You're not angry about this. The question, Jesus got angry 15 times in the Gospels, but the question is not whether he did, but what he got angry about. Here's what this writer said. Let's see what we think of it. The surprise of Jesus' anger is that it frees us. It delivers us from evil. It enables us to let go of the sin which so easily entangles us, as Hebrews talks about. Hebrews. Jesus' anger, godly anger, compels us to hate our own sin. Abhor what is evil is a New Testament commandment that too often is ignored and disobeyed. How many of us Christ followers are helping each other hate our own sin? I don't ever really hear that happening.
Right.
They say godly anger is spiritual energy that motivates believers to trust the Lord. It's holy discontent that makes us feel dissatisfied with our chronic patterns of stuckness and laziness and complacency and self-righteousness and pride and lewdness and indulgence and pretension and image management and people-pleasing and cowardice and fear. We have to remember Jesus' godly anger was never aimed at a prostitute or a tax collector or a political candidate. He targeted his anger at religious phonies who took God's name in vain by using it to hide their wicked deeds. Jesus' anger also burned against his very closest followers who willfully hardened their hearts instead of humbling themselves and taking him at his word. What's supposed to make us angry? Our own proclivity to sin.
Ouch.
Now, is he right? This is a human writer.
Mm-hmm.
You think he's right.
No, I'm agreeing that it's just a human writer.
So does it mean that this person's right? But he's right. I don't remember Jesus getting mad at people that we get mad at in America.
No, for sure not.
It makes us uncomfortable, but Jesus, like somebody said a little while ago, that Olympic opening ceremony, like Jesus would have invited those folks to dinner.
Right.
That offended everybody in America.
Yeah, we often get mad at sinners. And Jesus doesn't get mad like that at the sinners. He invites them in.
Mm-hmm. He gets mad at religious people who don't realize that they're sinners.
Yeah, he invites the sinner in to have a life transformed in him and to be new. He doesn't get mad at them because they're sinning.
Right.
He gets mad at the religious people for continuing in their sin.
Yeah, he said, I didn't come to save those who think they are righteous, but those who know they are sinners.
Mm-hmm.
We should be angry about our own sin life and our own journey to conform our lives to Christ. That's what spiritual formation is me realizing how much I'm not like Jesus and how much more I need to be like him. It's what's tried to, I mean, I'm imperfect at it, but I'm trying to get better about getting mad at other drivers with this self-talk I was telling you about, because I know it's not righteous anger.
Mm-hmm.
I am not displaying Christian behavior when I get angry at the guy in front of me driving slower than I want him to. It's so selfish.
Right. And we're not perfect. We're never going to be perfect, but the call is to be perfect like Jesus was perfect. And so he's constantly inviting us into moments to get to that perfect moment. It's not going to happen in this life. It'll happen in heaven, but it's a continual calling of changing who we are to become more like Christ, to become more perfect in him.
So it's fair to say that all of us angry at the way people park or drive,
Silliness.
we should not be angry about those things.
Mm-hmm.
We should be angry at our own sin. Okay? So then is it fair to say that people who are primarily angry about the state of America have misdirected their anger as well?
Probably.
It's not a conventional thing to say. That's how you galvanize Christians today, is to galvanize around something to get mad at. But we're supposed to be most upset about our own sin, not other people's sin.
Yeah, I think the problem is that we're getting so upset at other people and their sin or just the acts of sin, and we're totally missing our sin part in it.
Yeah, and if you start there, what happens, if you start with your own sin and your own brokenness, it becomes really easy to extend love and grace to other people.
Yeah, because you come at them saying, well, who am I? Who am I to be angry at you about your sin? I'm just as sinful as you. There is nothing good in me except Christ. So there's no reason for me to be so angry.
So really, we should be angry at Christians who are not realizing how much of a mess they are while they point their fingers at other people and society and culture. And
no, we should invite them to know Christ
Yes.
and invite them to be transformed.
this is the problem in the church right now. If I'm going to pick one, it's this. There's lots, but that's it. So if somebody wanted us to talk about the state of world affairs, it's not quite what you wanted, I don't think. But I think it's the biblical answer.